Don't like nothing!
In this final episode of The Family Affair, we reunite with families we've grown to love. In Wuhan, Singapore, Manila, and Delhi, to see how their circumstances have changed 2 months on.
Hello.
你看的人是不是真的多？
As restrictions are lifted,
Today we have swimming lessons.
even as the pandemic rages on,
I would like to book a COVID-19 test.
in footage never seen before, the families reveal how the filming was done under unprecedented circumstances. Why they agreed to be part of this documentary,
I wasn't given a choice by my wife.
Can you just level the horizon?
Just do it yourself.
and how has being on TV changed them.
How dare you?
Wuhan had been under one of the strictest lockdowns the world has ever seen. It seemed like it would have gone on forever. Then, the lifting of the lockdown on the 8th of April left the Wangs with a tough choice. Should they allow professional crew into their house?
我跟我母亲是被确诊，
我家里面好不容易就是度过了这么一劫，突然你给我提出这么一个邀请，我确实有这样的一个担心。第一个是你们来武汉安不安全？第二个呢，就是说你们如果来了过后，对我家里面其他的人安不安全？ 参与到这个拍摄，我觉得就是在于分享，说在这么一个特殊的全球的这样的一个突发危机的情况下，让其他人看到就是我们怎么样一路过来，我觉得这个还是很有意义的。
We began filming with the Wangs in late April, 11 days after the lifting of the lockdown. In the 2 weeks we spent with them, we witnessed Wang Bin and his mother recovering from the trauma of being stricken by COVID-19.
有时间就出来呼吸会儿新鲜空气，不要老是还觉得自己好像还是个病人。
Shared his heartbreak as he folded a business,
确实这个资金压力太大了。
cheered him on as he tried to start another.
你再买的花椒和辣椒。
哎，就放在这儿啊。除了好像我上厕所、洗澡没有被你们拍了，其他好像都被你们拍到了。你们是属于我们家里面近半年以来就是来的第一波客人。 随着我们10几天的拍摄，大家慢慢习惯了说，哦，家里面更热闹。你们走的时候，家里面真的就突然觉得，有点空。
2 months later, we returned. While rain clouds now shroud Wuhan in rainy season, the moods have clearly lifted.
兄弟们，欢迎！
And what a difference in reception.
欢迎你们。好了，快进来吧。
好。
姥姥姥爷现在还在家里面帮着做厨房里的呀这些。
3 grandparents still stay with the Wangs. Wan Li's parents, Grandpa and Grandma Han, who are on an extended visit from Sichuan. And Wang Bin's mother, Madam Huang, who, like the city, has also experienced a 180-degree change in her outlook. When we last caught up with Madam Huang 2 months ago, she had already been cleared of COVID-19, but she remained weak.
太高了，现在必须要吃降压药才得行。
It turns out the impediment to Madam Huang's recovery was a deep-seated sense of guilt that came tumbling out during the filming.
就实实在在的，就是在医院那集带我去打了个针才感染到这里。
不要笑了，真的，我压根我就没感过。你问到了我妈妈，她心里面的就是那一层，是你们来，然后让她把这一点说出来。我其实从这个点，我真的还是蛮感谢你们的。她现在身体指标越来越好，而且心情比你们上次来的时候感觉没有那么压抑，对不对？
But it isn't just Madame Wang who's feeling upbeat. Across Wuhan, life has returned to the streets as active cases dwindle to zero. It's a development that will rekindle Wang Bin's desire to restart his business. In Singapore, the streets have also come back to life. The country is now into phase 2, which means public areas like beaches and parks are open, and dining in can resume. When we last met the Sus, Singapore had just entered the circuit breaker phase. We saw Lesley struggling to cope with being a parent, teacher, and an employee. Witness Joel go from aspiring barista to delivery driver,
even though business is down, but I'm not giving up.
and moaned along with them as restrictions were eased.
So the government said we can go and visit your grandparents, but only 2 can go at one time.
Far too slowly. When we visited them 2 months on, life in the Su household is a world of difference.
Ready to go to school? You bring this as well, okay? In case your mask, you drop it, it becomes dirty or something like that. Then?
But you must wear mask and face shield.
So they will always tell me, no, mommy, I can't breathe properly. It's very warm. I don't want to wear it. And, it's about really reiterating to them the importance of it and how COVID spreads.
It looks like it's dropping. If it's loose, no point. People cough, you get the droplets. What's the point?
So we have to make sure they pack extra disposable masks into their school bag.
Big hug, please.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good day, okay? Love you. Bye, Dooney. So it's just very quiet. It's very serene. Oh God, I miss the kids, I think. Am I crazy?
Meanwhile, Tristan too is missing school as he used to know it. School used to be fun. School was where he could chat with his friends. But now, being in school means following onerous rules to keep COVID-19 at bay.
Remember to keep a distance from your friends at all times. Put on your mask at all times.
It must take so long to wipe, wipe there, do this, do that, must wipe everywhere.
Why must you wipe it, do you know?
Yes.
Why?
Because with COVID-19 on my table.
Make sure you wash your hands.
And wash the thermometer. Yeah.
And once you get your temperature, put your hands up and wait for us to come to you.
I feel that it's super listy. I'm very tired and why must I go to school? It's super boring.
Thankfully, there's one lesson where Tristan doesn't need to wear a mask: physical education. No wonder the 3 boys pine for weekends.
Boys, today we have swimming lessons.
Oh yeah!
How long have you not been to your swimming class?
I think about 49 years.
For almost 3 months, this was their only form of water play. During the 2-month circuit breaker, public and private pools across the country were shut to stop the spread of COVID-19 in these facilities.
Tristan has said it, when he swims, he feels very relaxed. So during the circuit breaker, I think he felt very trapped. Swimming, I think, gives them a lot of freedom, like a fish. Okay, all of us go in the water, yeah?
Yeah, and then try to give us
1, 2, 3. Life is just going to be okay when you're in the pool.
I have forgotten they are super tiring.
In early July, India has become the world's third hardest hit nation, and its capital Delhi is its worst hit city, with over 100,000 cases, more than the whole of China. Yet India has begun lifting restrictions. We return to the Guptas in July, and the fear of the virus is hitting home. Darshan, the family's longest-serving helper, is running a fever, one of the symptoms of COVID-19.
Hi, yes, I would like to book a COVID-19 test. I'm calling from Delhi.
You have the doctor prescription card?
I don't. I will get the physician's letter and send it to you.
Booking a home collection COVID-19 test in Delhi can take anywhere between 24 to 72 hours, depending upon the availability of a lab agent. But lucky for the Guptas, they were able to secure a last-minute slot. In a few hours, Darshan's COVID-19 test result was out.
Oh, great, not detected.
The recent scare is forcing the Guptas to stick to their self-imposed lockdown for the 4th consecutive month. The self-imposed lockdown is set by Karan, the eldest son at home. No one is allowed in and out of the house. The family of 6 fought about it. Some defied it.
If it is not working, might as well enjoy normal life and see what happens.
And they finally decided it was easier and probably safer to abide by them.
End of discussion.
We read every day in the news that the authorities are running short of ICU beds, ventilators, oximeters, etc. Things that would be required if somebody got a bad case of COVID.
The situation is so dire, authorities are now incentivizing COVID-19 patients to recuperate at home, despite the risks to immediate family members. Home intensive care units are gaining currency with those who can afford them in India. The Guptas are in the middle of turning their spare room into a quarantine facility with equipment that would normally be found in intensive care units.
PPE kits, gloves, mask, oximeter we have. The oximeter is the most important thing because the first thing that tells you that you might have a problem is your oxygen level going down. The only thing that we don't have is oxygen concentrator, which is ordered and we should get it in a few days.
The most important thing that you need is oxygen, right? And hospitals are pretty busy right now, so in case we need to figure some things out at home, then at least we have some kind of equipment to help out.
I thought oxygen is going to smell different, but none of that happened. If you can handle the disease at home, it's better to be at home amongst your loved one and you feel safe.
In the Philippines, cases of COVID-19 are also soaring. Barely 7 weeks into the partial lifting of the lockdown, cases have tripled to nearly 60,000.
It's getting scarier, pero what's good is we keep on what's working with us, which is not going out if it's not necessary.
But by far, the family member most at risk of a COVID-19 infection is Charles. Charles is a nursing assistant assigned to screen for COVID-19 patients. When the production team first met Charles, he was still quarantined in a separate part of the family home, fearing he might bring the virus back from work.
Hey Bjorn, hello.
Leaving Jaja to take care of her 3 kids and elderly parents.
This one, you like this one? Do you want noodles also?
We go to sleep now. Oh, it's 11 o'clock na anak ko.
Charles had been reassigned back to the intensive care unit, which does not handle COVID-19 patients. Still, it did not assuage the family's fears. So Charles decides to go for a swab test.
So yun, dito na po tayo sa room. Ayan. Ito na yung, dito kami sa swab.
The test took 15 minutes. Finally, the results. Negative.
Viral RNA not detected.
Sinend ko agad yung result kay Jaja. So, tapos sabi niya paano, babalik ka na sa bahay. I'm coming home in my own home, the original home.
Si Daddy nandito, tutulungan ako bat na mommy.
Sabi niya kasi kung gusto mo, pinapapili niya ako. Gusto ng plato or
Hugas ng bata.
Hugas ng bata. Hindi ko magulas naman ng bata. Kasi namiss ko yun
At saka yung saya mo na makita sila araw-araw.
Despite finally getting help from her husband at home, Jaja is contemplating resigning from her job, which she is due to return to after her maternity leave expires. As a home-based online tutor, Jaja needs a quiet home environment. That was still manageable before, but now...
You just get a book, anak. Ryan, not like that to Saysay. Anak, not like that to Saysay.
Both Orion and Zion are far more active. And they have a new addition, Ghibli.
Don't jump on the baby. Do you want mommy to get angry? No.
I told my work that I cannot give you the satisfaction ng no noise because I have 3 kids.
Mommy! Mommy! Mommy!
Jaja is working on a potential solution, but it comes with a catch.
Asan si Zion? Natutulog?
Jaja wants to leave her job, but at the same time, she's worried about the family's mounting expenses. She's got to find an alternative.
Oh, mami, mamaya final interview ko na yung mga bata.
Ba't ka mag-interview? Di ba nag-resign ka na ba doon sa
Magre-resign nga ako pag magre-resign na nga ako kasi nga
If offered, Jaja's new job as a recruiter and social media manager would see her drawing double her previous pay. But there's a catch.
Yung shift ko magiging Monday ng US time. So, panggabi.
Kaya nga, ang Ang tanong, kakayanin ba? Kasi iba yung tulog sa gabi sa araw.
Siya din naman eh, night
Yun
shift.
na nga eh, pag pareho kayong graveyard, eh, kami naman ang kawawa. Lalo na pag gising na yung tatlong yan.
健身房开业了啊，还是要出来。这么多人呢，你看。对啊，大家都能够这样出来，就代表说大家觉得自己是安全的，没有那种戒心了。这个我觉得比什么都重要。
哎，好看直接，好，幅度下去一点，下，好，吐气打开，漂亮。
哎呀，我希望我今年的话能够这个
塑形成功，我们一起努力，好吧？
Wang Bin is also seeing his business getting back in shape.
昨天有没有后悔？
昨天后了一点点，后了应该5、6周。昨天中午都有1万1.2，而且咱们晚上人气更旺一些。
现在我们堂食呢，大概恢复了80%多。昨天2个店都创了疫情以后的那个新高，都达到了3万多块钱的营业额，挺开心的。
But now, with his businesses on the mend, he's thinking of buying over 2 more restaurants.
在这个过程中倒掉了一大批餐厅，跟我一开始面对的整个处境是一样的。我觉得在这个时候，就是可能有一些机会，我能够有一个比较低的价格重新买一家店回来。我跟你说个事儿啊，这个咱们不是1万块钱把水海棠给卖了吗？那我们重新买一家店回来，再找机会。
不是你才关了一家店吗？
就是因为关了，然后重新再开呀。这次呢，也是因为疫情淘汰了一批同行。如果说可能的情况下，我想开2家店。
这太让我惊讶了，因为现在都是在说那个就是11月份可能会有一波反弹。
主要是我觉得大家开始出门了，有信心了过后就会有消费，而且呢，
我觉得很担心，它突然变得就这么冒险了。
我相信我能够把这个事情做好。
Over in Delhi, amid worries of COVID-19,
So we have some news for you.
No.
I know.
Another thing?
I know. I think I know what they're gonna say. Mom, they're pregnant!
It's happiness, right? When you're happy, you want to share it with people that you're close to. Thank you.
That's the best news I've heard.
Congratulations to you too.
It's a little early to break the news, but we're really, really excited. It comes at a great time where there's nothing else happening. So yeah, we're breaking the news on the family affair.
right after Jaja's final interview, she was offered the job.
Hello! So, 8 o'clock na. Start na ng work ko. Tapos may makikidede.
That night, Charles was on the graveyard shift and everyone else at home had gone to bed.
Ano nila? Playtime pa.
Then sana sila na after work, we will go to sleep together. So, 1 hour lunch break. So, hindi talaga ako nagla-lunch. Natutulog talaga ako. Saka nagpapatulog ng babies. Alright, let's go! So, ito yung magiging schedule ko. So, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. I'll be working. Plus 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. I can have a sleep. Kasi they're still asleep din naman. Nakaka-stress.
It's useless to be talking about opening of classes. That's proper man. Para sa akin, bakuna muna.
So when it was said na there's no face-to-face classroom until there is no vaccine, we're not sure if this is 6 months or 6 years. So we have to accept the fact that homeschooling is the new normal.
2 to 3 hours, and then I give yung 10 o'clock to them. Even if you are tired, you have to get up because there's nobody's gonna take care of your kids.
Jaja's plan to catch up on sleep in the afternoon when her children nap is thwarted. When her nephew Jeremy fails his science assessment.
Wala yung parents niya eh. Parang walang ibang magtuturo. And I don't expect mom and dad parang makahabol pa sa curriculum na.
Part of her science experiment. Standardized system allows scientists
Pwede magpakamatay na ako.
data more easily.
Ayoko ng online, hindi madali.
Susubukan natin na dito ka every 1, 2, 3 para masanay ka kasi yun talaga yung schedule mo.
Are you afraid of crashing and burning out?
It will happen, I'm sure. But at the moment, we're trying to make it work.
In Wuhan, Wang is scouting for locations for his 2 new restaurants, despite not getting his wife's support for the idea.
12点上课不到50%，人气一般。哦，这一家应该是在装修了，这一家。之前前一家好了，现在重新又过来了。
我老婆她接受不了我突然一下说要开2家店的这样的一个想法，她觉得说，因为在疫情刚刚这样走出来才没有多远嘛，大家还在心里面实际上还在阴霾里面，没有完全走出来。
Wang Bin decides he needs to bring Wan Li out to see for herself that the city is buzzing with life.
你看那人是不是真的多？
对啊，真的好多人哦哈。
我们俩就是自从有了宝宝过后，很少有机会这样2个人可以一起出来。
好痒哦，好痒哦，真的好痒哦。我就是希望呢，多来一点这样的小小的浪漫。
But romance is not the real intention for this outing, at least not for Wang Bin.
你看这个武汉的人气，你看现在也恢复了这么多，对不对？那我们开店，你有觉得可以的吧？
确实，因为现在的人好像不像我想象中那样子，对这个疫情哈会有那么多的就是恐惧。
你这算是同意啦？
就同意了。
钱也准备好了，你知道吧？
那你钱从哪来呢？
我已经把我们那个川菜故事的商铺已经做了抵押，然后贷了200万，已经准备好了。
啊，那个是我唯一的那个资产，但是你这不是先斩后奏吗你？
反正不管了，你是你同意了啊，这事儿就这么定了啊。
In Singapore, Joel too is hoping to persuade his wife on a decision he hopes to make. Since starting on his first delivery job fetching fruits, Joel has taken on a second delivery job, fetching specialty bread and snacks to businesses and households.
Today on time,
Giving him 2 steady streams of income.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm thinking, right, now that we are into phase 2, I think office crowd is still a bit slow, but I think it'll pick up. So I'm thinking of dropping the afternoon delivery jobs. It's quite strenuous lah, cannot take it anymore. So I'll drop that. So anyway, afternoons is where I'm more productive.
2 of my training partners lost their jobs.
Yeah, it's quite scary, it's quite sad. So I'm a bit concerned as well, whether I will still have a job.
When business is tough, usually the business supporting structure that the management tend to X out is the training department.
So for now, Joel has put his plans of quitting the afternoon delivery shift on hold.
There's no backup plan. If she really does lose her job, we just have to tighten up even tighter lah, I guess. I need to keep going for my family.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'd requested for a COVID-19 test.
Supriya is booking yet another test for COVID-19. This time, for herself.
I don't have any COVID-19 symptoms, but just 7 weeks into my pregnancy, I found out that I've had a miscarriage.
As her miscarriage was incomplete, Supriya needed surgery to remove any remaining pregnancy tissue from her womb to prevent an infection.
It's quite traumatic to go through something like that. And on top of that, we've now got to run around and get a COVID-19 test done so that I can be admitted into the hospital for daycare.
Ma'am, actually, mostly start book 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, exactly नहीं बता सकती, but 5 दिन के बाद का आपको अपॉइंटमेंट शेड्यूल जो है वो मिलेगा. टाइम थ्रू में ये है कि आप आज बुकिंग करा दो तो आपको कल का टाइम स्लॉट मिल जाएगा.
पहले नेजल का मैडम हिलिए मत थोड़ा सा
भैया बहुत
दर्द तो होता है मैम थोड़ा.
ओहो
इसमें तो कुछ भी हुआ मैडम, फिर सही से नहीं किया, उस साइड वाला दे दीजिए.
आप ठीक से नहीं डाल रहे हैं
मैम. इससे ज़्यादा पेन होता है, आपको पता है कई बार ब्लीडिंग भी होती है. मेरा हाथ तो बहुत हल्का है.
अच्छा, आप हल्के हाथ से कीजिएगा प्लीज़, हल्के हाथ से कीजिएगा.
So, my test is negative. I went in for the procedure yesterday and it was quite an unnerving experience. In India, a miscarriage is a huge social taboo. And Karan and I both had discussed this before, and we realized that talking about an issue like this helps normalize a situation that happens more often than you think. If anything, COVID has taught me how to step back, slow down, process things a little better, and deal with them.
Very important for the day. Elections is very important. You need to choose the leader at home. Hey, I think it's a walkover. I think it's a walkover.
July 10th, 2020. Lesley and Joel, along with over 2.5 million voters, are headed to the polls. In Singapore's first election amid a pandemic.
I felt that's very, very different from the last election almost 5 years ago. I felt a little bit nervous about it. What's going to happen to policies? Every vote counts.
The elections is where you choose the leader of your country. But today we are only doing the elections for the leader of the house, our Su house.
I think it's very important for the kids to know what elections is about. It's also about their future, right? Nowadays, the school talks about current affairs. They are talking about elections. So the teacher actually sent me a message to say that student actually said, oh, I want to be a leader for my country one day.
This is called the Family General Elections 2020. Daddy, please sit here, you're the opposition party.
We will all each have 30 seconds to share with you how we're going to lead for the rest of the day.
Start. It's not ready.
Oh, good afternoon, my fellow children. Today, I would like to share with you the things that I'm going to do to ensure that we will have an enjoyable day. We will go down for a cycling session. And why? Because cycling makes you... Huh?
Daddy out.
Thank you.
Daddy always talk like that. Today, if you vote for me, you are going to get popcorn and we have ice cream, and at the same time, we're going to go down to the playground. And tomorrow we are swimming.
Can we discuss?
You can discuss. Cooling off period, okay?
Mommy, we should choose Mommy. Why do you think? Because Mommy will keep us at But then Daddy will always let us play game one. But Mommy don't like. Not let us play games. Who do you want to vote? Me also. Because I like reading. I also want to vote Mommy.
First vote is Daddy.
Yeah!
Second.
I was beyond shocked to have lost, shook this man who cannot even finish his speech in 30 seconds.
King Daddy come, take photo. So even though now I'm bringing home less income, my kids look at me the same way. To them, I'm like their hero. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your trust.
I think the kids really does lighten things up when things are looking down. Circuit breaker lasted for 2 months, and I think all Singaporeans deserve a pat on their back. We all made it, we survived, we stayed home, so good job.
The pandemic has changed lives.
Oh no!
What are families learning about themselves?
Teleserye yung buhay namin.
And about each other. They have never met each other, yet these families share a common experience that's intense. Not just the COVID-19 experience, but having this moment in time documented on television. Over in Delhi, Supriya is assembling the Guptas together to watch themselves on the family affair.
Okay, we're watching the first episode.
We've asked families in 4 cities badly hit by the COVID. Supriya is a TV producer, and it was she who undertook the task of documenting her own family under lockdown.
I was given the task to find a family in Delhi. It was a nationwide lockdown, so families didn't want anyone coming in and out of their homes. And guess who came to the rescue?
I agreed to feature in the family affair because I wasn't given a choice by my wife.
Is that the truth?
The whole truth.
I don't think I agreed. Did we agree?
I always wanted to be a star.
That is so cold as well, please.
You already have my other one.
Maybe freaks on TV. Yeah?
Hey, but don't go all the way. 1 second. Is it fine?
I don't know, you tell me. Am I straight? Is my face straight?
Just do it yourself.
I think I may have gone beyond people's comfort zones.
Joel and Lesley Sue are raising 3 little men. 8-year-old.
But यहाँ पे बच्चे कहते हैं हमारे घर में पापा करते हैं.
When I saw that mom playing with the 3 kids, it reminded me of my days. So I could empathize with her having 3 kids in 5 years.
Help me.
If the family affair was around maybe 25 years ago, that's what our family would have looked like.
Karan imposes a drastic house rule.
So I've put down some rules. If you guys can kind of go through it, this is what I think we should.
No one in the family can leave.
I've got work. I'm sitting at home. All of us are sitting at home. This is not just for you. It affects all of us. I thought I was like a fun-loving guy, but clearly not.
Karan really played a very, very important role, took command, and if we had not done it, then probably there would have been some problem, some ailment, something which would have entered this house.
I'll tell you, my biggest problem. The day the driver is here, she's going to be going to the ridge with him.
I actually realized I was totally focused on my need to do all that he was telling me not to do. But watching the episode, I realized how stressful it must have been for him.
It's definitely taken its toll. I'm just tired of everything, like physically and emotionally. It's just very draining.
With Joel out on the road making deliveries all day, this would be Joel's first time witnessing what goes on when he's not home.
I'm actually busy right now, trying to get this done. I am already helping you. You're not doing anything at all.
Some people will say like, oh, why this husband like don't care about the wife, like just chuck the wife at home. I honestly don't really care what people think. My mission is to make sure that she's happy.
Oh, there! Look at that! He's inside the bottle, boy!
When it comes to emotions and feelings, he just does not express himself. So I don't hear a lot of things I wish I can hear.
Lesley is more emotional. Sometimes emotions overflow. I'm very thankful and I'm very grateful for all the things that we've done at home. And yeah, being the awesome wife and being the awesome mother.
You're welcome.
And tears will flow. Then I'm like, oh my goodness. I cannot handle.
Minsan, nilalagyan ko ito ng microporting na yung mga pages na glitter para secure.
Jaja agreed to document her family's life under lockdown for one reason.
I wanted people to see how different it is in the life of a frontliner. So I'm not asking for a salute or anything, but if you see, the sacrifice is not just coming from a frontliner, it's coming from the frontliner, the family.
Hey, sit down, No pineapple juice.
Ang ina pala ng ginawa ko, parang pag nakikita ko siya, naiyak pa rin ako.
May papatayin ko na yung internet para wala ka nang mapanood. Dito, ito. Ito, yan, wala na. Wala ka.
Parang teleserye yung buhay namin. Kasi may mga iyakan, may mga nag-aaway, nagagalit, ganyan.
While watching themselves on TV, Charles and Jaja are able to find inspiration from the struggles of the other families.
全中国人都是在恐慌的时候公布自己病情，这种方式的话，减少其他的人的这种恐惧，会更好一些。
Pero nung after nun, nag-ano talaga siya, parang lumaban talaga siya. Tapos, para sa akin, inspired din ako dun sa ginawa niya. Kasi hindi siya, alam mo, hindi siya nag-give up.
请问一下，我住哪个病房啊？
你是安排的住僵尸区的是吧？
刚才是说僵尸。
为什么我在医院陪对象？医生医护的话会从窗口，然后把餐食送进来。
那时候特别羡慕他，我们老觉得，我靠，这在外面吃的比我们家里吃的都好。
记录了在这个阶段我们家庭的这样一段经历啊，就是这一份记忆还是很珍贵的。
But it isn't long before the show hits a raw spot. Grandpa and Grandma Han took care of the children when Wang Bin was self-isolating.
姥姥也是喜欢抱小狗，她就是睡习惯了，就我们带起睡觉的时候就摩擦很多。
But they never realized how much he resented their parenting style.
或者说每个人可能都有固执的一种方式。
就是说带小孩，我们老的做法带小孩做得不对。
他觉得说我这么多年，我坚守的，我认为的这种方式就是对的。
我还帮了忙啊，来辛苦把子度过那个灾难呐，一家人也慢慢的啊，还说出那种话，我就感到十分的不高兴，十分的伤心，有点我说。
Over at the Su's,
Time now is 1 p.m. 28th April. Oh no! So I just got a call from Lesley, asked me where the charger is, and then she goes lecturing me like, oh, because this is how I run the house. Like, just go the up lah.
How dare you?
So it was really just the spur of the moment, like there was the anger and that's why I said it. I guess it's also a good thing that Lesley gets to hear how I feel. Yeah.
It's very frustrating because I'm trying to manage 3 boys, right? And I'm trying to, as much as possible, make the house very neat. But I also understand why you reacted that way because, like, you know, you work so hard, you're so tired. And then there's this stupid statement on, like, can you please put it where? where you took it from, because this is how I run a household. It's quite shit lah. I understand.
Thank you
like,
for understanding.
but that's also because you don't share with me.
Share what?
How you feel like you're very tired at work or something, you expect me to just know it?
Every time I engage with Lesley in an argument, I always lose.
There are certain times where I just need to be very stern with them, and that just carries off with you as well. But I do realize that I need to be gentler. What is this Bam doing here?
No, you should be more kunyang, more like...
Gentler lah, right?
Like that lah.
Fortunately for Joe, it ended well. But over in China...
妈咪过来噻，跟你说点事儿。你发现昨天那个姥姥看那个片子的时候，她的眼神有点怪哦。
或者说每个人可能都有固执的一种方式，就固执。他觉得说我这么多年我坚守的，我认为的这种方式就是对的。
但是的话，你说话还是有方式方法嘛，对不对？他们毕竟都是出于就是爱小孩嘛，才会这样的呀。所以说你还是要考虑一下他们的感受嘛。你好好想一想，你上次跟姥姥说之后，你私下有没有跟姥姥聊过天吗？
没有。就是那天整个就是节目放出来的时候，坦率来说，还是真的会有点尴尬。
3 days later, Wang Bin makes the first move.
妈姐洗完了？
啊。
啊，你等一下忙，我跟你说个事情呢。
有事情你说。
上次说就是带娃儿的那个事情呢，你看那天视频放出来的时候，我都觉得说感觉到起当时呢话说得不对头。
怎么是你说那个话呀？ 让人看着起来是有点儿，心里有点儿，那次来呀，还反而把小孩给你们带坏了那种感觉。
就说因为那个话呢，我觉得确实不妥，让你感觉到心里面不舒服呢。今天就跟你道个歉，你就不要往心里面想了哈，妈。
没得事，没得事，没得事。多年都没常过来找我谈过话。 现在呢，找我谈话呀，谈我对他看法还是挺好的，他是个好人，还是多懂道理的。
Hello, today I want to sing a song.
Okay.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy with twice of rain.
I guess this pandemic really helped me to think that I should not give up, and Lesley is the one that kicked my butt and get me going. My children are the pillars of my life.
Your family is always yun yung babalikan mo eh. Kasi sila, they're your healing place.
I'm glad you have all these videos from this once in a lifetime period, you know, for all the family.
若干年以后，我们重新会把这段影片会翻出来看一下，拉着孩子一起看，说当年我们一家人经历了一件什么样的事情，多么的幸运，有多少人在关心我们。我觉得这些都是非常棒的。